Hello, welcome. This is my friend Claire. Claire, would you like to introduce yourselves to all of the people who are looking for advice this week?
Sure. I'm Claire. I run a design and experience business, and I've collaborated a lot in the past, and I'm so excited to just kick off this conversation
Tell
and
everyone
talk
the
about.
name of your business.
Oh, Claire Seizovic, just my name, LLC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
.com.
.com.
.com. Yeah. So I brought Claire in. Claire and I have been long-term collaborators. In fact, she was a participant in one of my programs. She was actually it started to become sort of a facilitator. We collaborated on the branding for Cash Flow Cleanse, and in general, we've just been good colleagues, which has been such a pleasure. So what usually happens during these conversations is I'll read through the question that's coming in, and then Claire and I will talk about ways that we think this person could approach an answer. So Claire, let's start just a little bit more of an introduction about who you are, and also maybe why I tapped you. I feel like you're sort of a master collaborator in a lot of ways, but it would be nice to hear a little bit about the history of your collaborations, and then we'll loop back around into that question.
Yeah. So in the past, I co-founded a business and generally collaborate with a lot of people in my network to fulfill services that I don't necessarily fulfill in design and branding. So I have a network I usually tap, and I've collaborated in like community events and pop-ups, and in general just really like working with people and believe that when we join forces, it just ends up leading to a more beneficial result for both the collaborators, but also the people who are impacted by the business and the community.
And you're a musician. I mean, you play in orchestras, right? I feel like that's a collaboration too.
Yeah, I've been a musician for like 25 years. And so I played chamber music, orchestra. It's kind of just in my DNA. So
Very cool. Yeah, that's super cool. Well, why don't I read the question really quick and then we'll hop back into your opinions. Let's see. So it says, Dear Anchors, for the past few years, I've built my service business, and now it's getting to a point where it feels normal and under control and giving me what I need to thrive personally. Alternatively, I'm also feeling isolated and teetering on the edge of burnout. I want a creative outlet that still supports my business and lets me get to know others, but I get stuck. I have a feeling that collaboration might help me, but I get nervous because I've heard some horror stories. I'm nervous about everything from whether or not the project will take off, to the logistics of how to split the profits if it turns into something that actually makes money. I'm a few steps ahead of myself here, but that's the problem. I think I'm trying to work through some of the potential kinks, so it really is a project that gives more than it takes from me. The online small business community has given me a lot, and I want to give back generously. Overall, I don't want to get in over my head. I'm craving something fun and hope that collaboration will serve me, not deplete me. Can you give some ground rules you've used for collaboration or advice how to go about it thoughtfully? What do you think of this question?
Whoa, yeah. She's covering a lot, or he or she's covering a lot in the question. Yeah, definitely looking like more ahead than I've ever looked when I've collaborated, which is kudos to them.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, there is a lot of value in looking ahead and making sure your values are aligned with whoever you plan to collaborate with before committing to a project. But the first thing to consider is like, what are your values and what are your boundaries when you're looking to start a new project? And if a collaboration or a new business is really what you're looking for, or if you're just looking for a creative outlet for your free time. Because I hate to say it, but oftentimes collaborations, there's no way to put in less and get more. Like, it's just, or at least that's what I found. Maybe there's a miracle way to collaborate where you're not like depleting some energy or more energy than you'd like to begin with. But I often found I put in a lot of energy in the beginning to align myself, my collaborators, my mission. And then later, the payoff typically comes off if it's done well.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, let's go back to one of her like bigger questions too, which is like, are there ground rules that you either wish you had or ground rules that you're grateful you had when you were starting some collaborations? We should also say we're also collaborating on a big like written resource project too. So you and I are actually in the midst of the beginning of a collaboration, which is very cool. But yeah, it's talk about some boundaries that you wish that you had and maybe the ones that that you're glad you had in the long run.
Yeah, so right now I believe we're doing a really good job of setting the ground rules and the sort of what each of us can contribute in the current collaboration, which is something that I've done in the past, but is definitely like a learning point from my past collaborations to make sure you actually like go through X, Y, or Z scenarios and make sure that you're aligned with your collaborator, your team, whoever you're working with, and just to make sure you have the same like gut reaction as to how you would react or how you would handle, like, what if it's wildly successful? What happens then? What if it's just a passive thing? What happens then? What if it fails? Like, how are you going to feel? Just making sure you're aligned at multiple points of the journey of what the project can become is really important, because you don't want to get to that fork in the road and have one person being like guns ablaze, let's go forward, let's take over the world, and the other person saying, hey, actually I just want this to be a side thing. Sure. And that's where you or other people, if just make sure that's what I'm learning now, is that we're being really intentional about how we're beginning a collaboration. And so I guess that's what I would say.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's such a good point. And it made me think of, a lot of people get kind of stuck in the like contract phase of things too. Mm-hmm. But I always tell people, I mean, it won't cover, in law, but I think a lot of communication via email about boundaries and even some intentions in terms of like profit splits and things like that can be really effective. So of those people out there who are kind of stuck in this, like, do I hire a lawyer? It's like, yes, eventually, sure, it would be helpful to do that. But I do think if you're running through specific questions and communicating via email, it's actually a really good, it'll help in the long run to have that paper trail, even if you two are, the people that you're working with are signing, even just like Google Docs and being able to sign things through there is helpful. General advice out there.
Sometimes you don't have money in the beginning.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Or sometimes you might, but a lawyer, or like, it might not be the time to invest in something so ironclad if you're not even sure, like, will this make a profit? Will it not? And sometimes you can get yourself running in circles if you think about all those things too early.
Totally. So you touched on this a little bit, but what do you think about her question about, like, she's looking for creativity? And I guess you mentioned this too, where you're like, it takes a lot of work. But when I wrote my response, I was sort of like, is this creative, or is it better for you to just network? So where in your collaborations, where have you really felt more creative, or even like pushed yourself to do things that you may not have done on your own?
Yeah, so I feel like creativity comes up in ways that you don't really expect when you're running a business or you're starting a collaboration. I think of creativity as like, oh, I'll have the chance to like design this really cool thing, or like art direct this amazing install. But that's only after you get through the creativity of, oh, I'm going to have to push myself to learn how to manage people. I'm going to have to get creative with how I communicate with my partner. I'm going to make a content calendar. I don't make that for my normal business. There's so many things like that. Maybe I should my normal business.
Right. Yeah. It's a safe testing zone in some ways. That extra projects outside of client work or whatever.
it's an opportunity to test your chops in other parts of running a business, or at least that's what I've found.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for that type of creativity, I think a collaboration is a good idea. If you're looking for just a chance to draw or a chance to, I don't know, design a new product, maybe it's not a collaboration, maybe it's just a creative outlet, or maybe it's just like a side project, or not even something that's monetized, which is it's easy to forget, because today anything can be monetized, quote unquote. And that's what I would say about that aspect of the question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Well, do you feel like, when you were working on some of your collaborations in the past, I feel like they've really shifted some of the way that you even talk about what you do in your business. Will you tell us a little bit about that too?
Yeah, well, I mean, during the program, I remember we had this epiphany moment where you were like, oh, you can actually do what you do for your collaboration in your main business. And that was this moment where it's like sometimes a creative outlet or a community project can highlight skill sets or like things you really love that you wouldn't discover in your normal business. And now what I've learned through that collaboration is one of the main things I market myself as a business owner, being able to connect people in real life, bring the design off the page or off the screen and into an experience. So that's a really good point, is that a collaboration could lead to a shift in something that you already have going on and help you sort of enlighten you on other skills that maybe you wouldn't have a chance to figure out just potentially by doing client work.
Yeah, totally. So I guess our big conclusion is like, she's not wrong. Like, yes, having some thinking ahead a little bit isn't the worst, but maybe also like leaping a little bit, like not worrying too much about monetization. But also if she's looking for more, she or he looking for more creativity, then this is potentially a good opportunity. In my answer, I wrote about friends who started a band and they each played a different new instrument. Let's say we were in a band and I was an expert drummer, but I wanted to learn violin, but you wanted to learn drumming, that would be a really good way to trade services essentially. Yeah. So if let's say our next, the project we're working on, let's say I was like, listen, I've done basic, design work. I want to be the designer. I want you to be like the strategist. That would be an interesting, it's not quite even a collaboration. It's almost like a trading of training and services, which would be, neither of us have time for that, but a very interesting possibility if she's looking, or she or they are looking for more creativity in their life.
Yeah, that's the conclusion I would agree with, is that you really, it's like there's so little you can predict. You can make a business plan, you can, if you want it to be a business, but there were a lot of things that stemmed from my past collaborations that I really could not have predicted when it first started, because it just started as solving a problem in the community, or all of them have started that way, whether physically or online. And I really think, if there's a way, it's important to identify what you're looking for and then talk with people about other ways you can fulfill that maybe you don't even know.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that's why I brought you in. I feel like you've done such amazing work with other people, and you've really taken those opportunities when you've taken the time in those collaborations, essentially working for free for a really long time, but testing a theory. I'm deeply supportive of testing theories in places that are safe. I think that a lot of your collaborations have been safe collaborations, which is cool. And even with our next project with, this resource library, etc., it's a safe space where we're testing out some theories, and then we get to move forward as we see fit in the future.
Yeah. And I mean, a major thing that I was pleasantly surprised by with my past collaborations, it's so obvious, but the accountability, just having someone, having people. If you choose to move forward with the collaboration, that's the biggest one of the bigger takeaways, is I was forced to jump off so many ledges just because like, oh, like we're gonna try this thing. Okay. Or you get to be at sales, or you get to like get the sponsor, you're just forced to, in a good way, to do things that are out of your comfort zone. And then you have someone else or other people to kind of push you along and like help you build on past success. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Well, that's why I brought you in. So thank you so much for taking a little time to talk to us about it.
Of course.
Tell everyone where they can find you again.
Oh yeah, ClaireSeizovic.com. I can spell it.
Do it. Spell it.
So it's Claire, Claire, then S as in Sam, EIZO, V as in Victory, IC.com. It's my phone.
I know. I have to do the same. You get it. Cool. Well, thank you. And we'll see you all in a couple weeks.
Great.
Bye.
Thank you.